When you write a REST API, there's a lot of work to do. You need to set up the server, you need to set up the routes, you need to take care of authentication, you need to set up your database, you need to set up your connections, and so on and so on. There's a lot of work to do. Now, whenever you're prototyping, you want to move through this pretty quickly. And so I want to show you a small tool that allows you to do that in a couple of minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here by installing the tool. The npm package is called JSON Server, and we're going to install that globally. JSON Server. Now, once you've gone ahead and installed it, you can then go ahead and use it at the command line. We're going to go ahead and move into this project that I have here all ready to go. The way we use this is by simply entering JSON Server. As we saw before, we installed it globally. So all we need to add in this case is -- watch and the name of the file that we will be loading. Now this file in this case simply contains the initial data model that you're considering. In this case, as you can see here, I have a simple data model, a few entities. I have students, exams, and grades creates a relationship between students and exams. Now when I load this onto the JSON server, this is immediately going to become a full REST API. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And as you can see there, it says that it has a few paths, a few routes already established, and that it's listening on port 3000. So let's go ahead and move into the browser, and let's go ahead and hit that URL, localhost 3000. And I'm going to hit the root simply so you can see there that it gives you that same feedback at the root. If we look at students, we'll get that data back that we were just looking at. Likewise for exams and grades. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we want to be able to access a specific data record. In this case, we're going to access a specific student. So we enter the name of the data entity, which is students, then 101. And when I hit return, you can see there that I am getting Peter Parker back. And that is the data that you saw in the file that is here in that first line, right? So let's go back to the browser. Now another thing that you may want to do is you may want to list all of the data for an entity. So in this case, I am listing all of the students, as you can see. And we can also not just view, but add. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a browser. Well, actually, let's go ahead and use the same window. And I'm simply going to use the curl command. If I had written some UI, I could do it through the browser, meaning enter a username or a name in an email and click on submit, and that post would go against the server API. But I have not written that UI, so I'm going to use the curl tool. So I'm going to go back here, and I've written that beforehand. And what I'm going to show you is simply the curl command using or making an HTTP post. So you can see there that it's adding Diana Prince in the email. Note that I'm not specifying an ID. That will be added by the server. So I'm going to go ahead and enter that. And as you can see there, it returns the new object that it has added. In this case, Diana Prince, and the ID is 105. Now that data is being persisted to the file. If we go back to the file here and we refresh it, you can see there that we get it has changed because it is being organized now by the server. And you can see there that now the last name in the first entity is Diana Prince, as you can see there, ID 105. Now we can do other things. Let me go ahead and go back. I'm going to show you simply a way to sort. I'm going to request the student's data, and I'm going to sort it descending order. So you can see there that we have Diana Prince first, and it goes to ID 101. And I'm specifying all of that here in the URL. These are the typical commands that you would have in a REST API. And as you can imagine, there's a lot more things that we can do. I will leave that up to you. I simply want to show you here that we can also see the relationships between the different data entities. And I'm going to go ahead here and enter student 101 and the grades for student 101. You can see here that in this case it is returning Peter Parker, and the grades for his exam ID 301 and ID 302, and the grades that he actually attained. All of that again comes from this file and the data that we defined originally. So this is a pretty useful tool in order for you to prototype and think through what your REST API should be and what is the surface area of your application. It is pretty easy to do, and as I mentioned, you can set it up in a couple of minutes and start testing or start thinking or start designing your application. So with that, I'll wish you happy coding and goodbye.